Well, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer promised voters he'd take strong action on illegal migration, organising a deal with France that he promised meant for every one illegal in, there'd be one illegal removed. But increasingly, his one in, one out policy is looking more like one in, one out and back in again. Joining me now live from London is GB News host Patrick Christys. Patrick, an asylum seeker removed from the UK under Starmer's deal with France arrived right back about 4 weeks later.
Yeah, like an Iranian boomerang. So this was indeed an Iranian man that we deported and we allowed back in. Deportations as a whole have fallen by 7.4% under Labour. So just a bit of context, Labour have allowed every single person who has entered this country illegally to try to claim asylum. And the 50,000 of them have crossed the channel. We've sent 42 back. But as you point out, there's only 41 now because one of them has come back again. He is Iranian, but don't worry. Iranians top the list of people who are being given fake baptisms in migrant hotels. We put them in hotels. A very well-meaning church minister will come around and they are baptising them in the bath so they can claim to be Christian and therefore they can't be deported back to Iran. Just to say as well, I'm reading some of our government statements about this migrant deal, right? You will be deported. Don't cross, you will be deported. No second chances. If you arrive illegally, you can be detained and returned. Well, yeah, but it turns out that we'll send you back only for you to come back again. I mean, it's an absolute farce.
And of course, you said that it's only been about, did you say 42? With this man's return, 41 migrants who have been sent back to France. I mean, the Prime Minister made such a big deal of this policy. It's made no difference whatsoever.
It's made no difference whatsoever. In fact, the problem has got much worse. And the big test now will be whether or not we can categorically deport this man again. Because, you know, all you have to do in this country at the moment is get a tattoo of a crucifix somewhere on your body. That means that you're now a God-fearing Christian man. We can't send you back to any Muslim country according to our own laws. Or you could marry someone over here, say that your son doesn't like foreign chicken nuggets. We can't deport you back to Albania. These are all real cases that have happened. So if we can't deport this guy now, then that really is the big green light for absolutely everybody to come to Britain and spend time in a migrant hotel before we give you a house.
Can I just ask, Patrick, this guy, like so many others, came across the channel from France. Why are they trying to escape France?
Well, quite. There's no war in France, is there? Of course, the joke is that if there had been a war in France, the French would have already surrendered. But no, there is no war in France. And there are big question marks here about what the French have been playing at, because the terms of this deal, as we understand it, is that we send them back to France and then France processes them and either deports them themselves, of course, or decides that they can stay in France. The French have clearly just released this guy back out to the same beaches in northern France from whence he came. And they're happy to continue doing that. I mean, it is a complete and utter farce. And, you know, the problems to the British public here are absolutely vast. We have had documented cases of ISIS terrorists, Al-Qaeda terrorists, Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists coming across the channel. I'm not saying that this guy's necessarily one of those, of course. But the point is we don't know, do we? And it's just full-blown incompetence, really, from our government and a lack of will from the French, who are supposed to be our allies.
All right, I want to talk about the royal family, and if you're talking about the royal family at the moment, it usually is Prince Andrew. The Prime Minister seems to be prepared to back an inquiry into royal finances, which would see Prince Andrew potentially answering questions in Parliament. What would the inquiry examine specifically, and how big a spectacle would this be if it goes ahead?
Yeah, well, initially what they're saying the inquiry would examine would be the terms of the Crown estate, so basically the living arrangements of Prince Andrew. He's been living in a 30-room mansion called Royal Lodge and has paid a peppercorn rent for the last 20 years. Clearly everything's blown up again about links to not just Jeffrey Epstein, by the way, and Virginia Giuffre and all of that, but also potentially spy masters, specifically Chinese spy masters as well. So it's all looking incredibly dodgy for Prince Andrew. And the finances of the royal family are also now being called into question. The other aspect of it is to do with his titles. So basically, he has now voluntarily resigned his titles, like the Duke of York, etc. However, there's a motion going through, or is about to go through Parliament anyway, really, trying to get him formally stripped of that. In order to get him totally stripped of that and his prince title, you would have to pass a new law, which is what's happening. This could get very messy very quick for the royal family, because they've never before been summoned before a committee in Parliament. They've never been asked to answer questions about their own finances. I mean, the concern here for me is that whilst Prince Andrew is, in my view, basically a wrong 'un, right? I don't want to see the tearing down of the entire royal family as a result of this. So we are in an age now where, you know, we're ripping down statues, we're disgracing British history, all of that stuff. You know, I'm concerned that we might go a little bit too far here. And before you know it, you know, there are calls to, well, there are more calls anyway, to abolish the monarchy, do away with the king, all of that stuff as a result of Prince Andrew and whatever we might find out about his finances. So we need to tread very carefully here, in my view.
Yeah, you make a really good point. There are people who don't like the royals, and with the smell of blood in the water, you can just imagine the absolute pile-on that would result if he was called to give evidence in Parliament. What a spectacle that would be. Patrick Christys, it's always great to talk with you. Thanks for joining me from London tonight.